this podcast.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Cast with Naya podcast. Thank you for once again gracing my podcast with your audience. On today's episode, we're going to be discussing branding in business. All of it that is to branding in business. I'm talking about how better you can brand your business. Because branding in business, we're getting to the point where you don't even have to do the talking. Your brand, your service, your goods, whatever you're producing, your product has to do the talking for you. So that's the point we want to get to. So how do we better brand our businesses? What are the things to look out for? The benefits and everything, even the disadvantages, even the problems associated, if there are any anyways. But that's what we're going to be discussing today. Today, I have a guest on my podcast, and he's none other than Rotimi. I'm sure you've all heard of Gird store, Gird teas and all of that. So that's my guest today. He's a communications designer with a passion for visual thinking and problem solving. He believes that design is a powerful force for improving the world. With over 10 years of experience in design, strategic brand communication, and a diverse background working with local and international brands across various industries. He's currently the creative director at Gird store, a Christian lifestyle clothing brand. If those hands are not too busy, please welcome our guests, Rotimi. Thanks so much for gracing my podcast. Please, for quality assurance purposes and audio fidelity, you might be hearing some lags because this was recorded via Zoom. Thank you. So once again, thank you so much for gracing the podcast, Cast with Naya podcast. I'll just do a brief introduction of what we'll be speaking about today before we commence on the main interview. So today we're speaking about branding in business. Like I said initially, I sent the theme to you and the topic. And looking at Gird store, which is your store today, which is a store that you are in control over, you realize that it has gotten to a certain point that your product or your t-shirts, your merch is able to represent what you stand for or is able to represent your brand. So if I see someone wearing a t-shirt from Gird store, I don't need you to be there or any member of your staff to be there to tell me about your product or your service. So just like I saw someone one day that was like, this is from Gird store. It's like, yeah, I see it. So you have grown the business to a point that nobody needs to be there to tell about the business or to tell you more about the business. The product or the service speaks for itself. There's a certain kind of font size, a certain kind of font that you have established your business with. And I think that's what a lot of business owners should be able to inculcate today in their different businesses. You should be able to have businesses or build your business to the point that your brand, your product, your service is supposed to represent who you are, supposed to stand for you. Nobody needs to, you don't need to be there in person for you to know that, okay, this product is from this person, this product is from this person, this service is, is usually rendered by this particular brand. So that's basically what we're going to be discussing today. We're going to be discussing about personal branding, all there is to it, the effects on business, the problems associated, if there's any, the strategies involved, maybe some branding tips for some small business owners who maybe do not have so much funding to start up with large branding processes, and so on and so forth. So I'm really glad today to have you on the podcast. Would love to say something to the house, maybe just hello, hi to the listeners, so that you know that
you're here
for real on my podcast.
All right, hi everyone, thank you for having me here. I'm really glad to be here. Thank you, Chichine, for the wonderful privilege that I have. It's going to be an amazing time because I'm going to share a lot of things that I've learned personally, and I'm also going to share a lot of things that I've learned that have worked for me, and things that I'm going to say are not going to be abstract, so they'll be very applicable and things that I can say in your daily life. So I'm really looking forward to the amazing conversation.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to an amazing episode. So firstly, I'll be starting with a definition of branding. So I just want us to have, like, the listeners or the audience to have like a general overview of what we're speaking about. So I'd just love for you to define branding for us. Over to you, sir.
All right, so let me start with just simply explaining what branding is, in my personal opinion. You see, Branding is simply consistency. In the simplest form, that's what branding is. Branding is consistency. Consistency meaning that every single time someone sees this exact same thing, it represents the same thing every time and everywhere. So if Coca-Cola, and so the way people achieve consistency is by using some things consistently. So for example, Coca-Cola uses color red every single time. Have you ever seen Coca-Cola when they're using blue or green? Never. So that's really what branding is. So MTN is always using yellow. Blue is always using green in all their ads. In fact, sometimes an ad can start, and while you're looking, you can tell this is an MTN ad. Why? Because you're seeing yellow everywhere. People are wearing yellow. The card is yellow. The shirt is yellow. Those types of things. So honestly, in simple terms, branding is consistency. But the whole idea of branding is to really express the nature of your brand and to separate your brand or separate your business or whatever the brand is representing. So branding is not really only for businesses. So for example, churches have a brand, countries have a brand, people can have a brand. Basically what people know you for as well. And people know you for that because you keep doing it consistently. So people know.
Consistently.
Exactly. So people know. You have some friends. Their brand is "Don't come near me when I'm not in the mood." That's their brand. So give their space when they are not in the mood because every single time they've done it consistently. And you have some friends that their brand is, "If you want to party, just call me." You don't need to give them 2 minutes. You don't even need 2 minutes notice. Once you enter there, say, "Bro, we'll go party now." They will follow you. So branding is basically how people perceive you, and people have that perception exactly. And so some people want to now be intentional to say, I want people to know me for this. Therefore, I will always do this every single time. So for a business, it can be, I will always use color red. I will always use this font. I will always make sure that the people on my posters are happy. I will always ensure that, so anything that you do consistently to create a perception of yourself is what branding is, simply put.
Wow, thank you so much for answering that question. Branding is consistency. Branding is the way you want to be perceived by other people. And you could actually like go on and list people that actually have maybe their own kind of perception or the way they want to be perceived. There are like certain people maybe on Instagram that have their particular dressing sense. They have a certain fashion kind of sense that they want to always dress like. They have a particular brand of shoes, maybe colors that they always want to wear. Like maybe let's say you want to mention Dimeji now. Like Dimeji, now you know that Dimeji likes wearing something ash or grey.
Yes.
Salem King usually likes a black. Now. So
exactly.
These are their brands. So with or without knowing them maybe in person, but you could just tell that this person should be this person should be that. Thank you so much for answering that question. I really appreciate it. So if you're to expatiate more, what is branding in business? So I know for a fact that you were able to connect the both of them together, but just for more clarity, what is branding in business?
So branding, since I've explained what branding is, now in business, as a business, you now want to say, okay, this business that we're doing, what do we want people to perceive us as? And honestly, most of the time for business, when people think of branding, they think of logo, and honestly, that's one of the last things you need to think about. Because no matter how fine your logo is, people will know your business for what your business is. Let me give you context. So imagine that you have an issue. Imagine you buy a product from, maybe you buy an iPhone. And every single iPhone you buy always has a problem. Now, whether the iPhone company knows it or not, they've given themselves a brand of terrible products. So no matter how fine the logo is, everybody knows who you are because you have done it consistently. And some people or some businesses are not consistent. Today they will do good, tomorrow they will not do good, next tomorrow they will do good, tomorrow they will not do good. So it's difficult for those people to build a brand because they are not consistent. So as a business now has to say, we want to brand ourselves as this, right? You have to start from having a great product, then delivering excellent customer service. Now, when you have done those two things, because those are the two things that people will associate your logo with. So your logo can even be bad for you, because imagine that I have a logo and I keep creating bad products. When people see that my logo, they will associate that my logo with a bad experience. So more often than not, the experience is greater than the logo. For example, Gird as a brand, our logo is not remarkable, it's not extraordinary, it's not interesting. It's just Gird, Gird, simple fonts. But because every single time you see the way it is, it's not that today we'll write it in caps lock, tomorrow we'll write it in small letters, next tomorrow we'll change the fonts, next tomorrow we'll put it in a circle, you know. So that's what I mean by consistency. So for a business, branding in business means saying, this is what I want people to know me for. This is what I want people to experience through my brand. You know, this is the value that I want my business to portray. And so what you now do as a business is ensure that every element around you says the exact same thing. So if as a brand now, as a business, I want to create a brand that is happy, my customer care people have to be always excited. All my products have to use happy language. Compared to a brand that wants to say we are bad, like not terrible. Like let me use for example Monster. Now the way Monster as a drink brand is different from the way Coca-Cola as a drink brand, because I mean they're both selling drinks. Let me even use Coca-Cola and Pepsi. Pepsi and Coca-Cola are competition, but they don't brand the
because
same.
Monster is actually a Coca-Cola product.
Yeah, exactly. So let me use Pepsi and Coca-Cola, right? Pepsi and Coca-Cola are competition. They sell the exact same type of drink, but they brand differently.
Yes.
You know, Coca-Cola is like happy. Pepsi is like, you know, it's like daring, it's like exciting, it's like high energy. Exactly. You know, so everything they do around their brand is to send the exact same message. And that's what branding is to do. So it's going to reflect in your logo, it will reflect in the brand ambassadors you choose, it will reflect in whether you even choose brand ambassadors or not. It will reflect in the kind of posters you post, you know, and all those things.
That's nice, very well said. So branding is more of the experience, the customer service, the the service that you're rendering to people.
Exactly.
More than the logo, just the pictures that you post on your Instagram or any other.
The logo is just a visual representation of what your brand really is.
Wow, thank you so much for answering that question. So speaking of the importance and the effects of branding in business, we love to just say a few of them.
Yes. So the effect of branding is, for me, honestly, I'll say this from Gird as a brand as well. One is the fact that your branding will separate you. So now everybody wants to have a good experience. So two people in business, they both have the same objective. I want everyone to have a great experience. But the question is, how do we do that? You know, so more details now go into the how, because the person that is selling drinks, the person that is selling tires, the person that is selling shoes, everybody wants to sell, everybody wants to be successful. So the question is, how do we position ourselves so that we not only sell, but we actually attract the right people that we want to sell to? Because right now, more businesses are building a persona that they can attract people who are attracted to the persona they have created. So what that means is Samsung and iPhone are selling, Samsung and Apple, are selling phones. And they sell their phones literally the exact same people. But, I mean, when I say the exact same people, I mean to the whole wide world. But they separate who they are selling to by how they brand themselves. And more than that, they also try to create a community or an identity, not just for them as a business, but for the people that buy their products. So that's why you see there's kind of like a competition between Samsung people and iPhone people, because they branded themselves differently. They focus on different types of people. So Apple as a brand is going to focus on more of creatives. You know, Samsung is probably going to focus on more functional people who just want to get stuff done. Then a brand like Intel is going to focus on people who just want to do stuff, like get stuff done. So many times the way they will brand is just going to determine all of that. So branding in business is to help you differentiate, set your customers out of the audience and ensure that you are reaching out to the right people, so that you are not, because the way business works many times is the more focused you are, the more you can sell. So when you sell your product to the right people, the people who actually resonate with you, the people who buy your idea, exactly. So those are the people that will be able to relate to you and buy your product. So those are some of the benefits. It's differentiation, and you can build a community around the values that you represent as a brand.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So the fact that branding helps to distinct products, and then it helps build a community around, those set of people too. Thank you so much for answering that question. Now, when branding as a business owner, what are some problems associated with it, and problems, challenges, and how do you overcome such problems?
Okay, so when you're branding, most times it's difficult for me to use the word problems because they're not really problems. Let me say what I mean. So typically, as a business person, you want to sell your product to everybody, But if you want to brand properly, you would realize that you have to ensure that you are not trying to sell to everybody. You're trying to sell to the people who align with your value as a business. And so there is always the fear of making your products available to everybody and then selling like that, or marketing your business that way. So that's one of the problems that many business people have, is that so when they ask me who's this product for, I say everybody can use the product. That's true. But if you position your business like that, almost nobody will be attracted
That's
to
like
you, because
not
people
having a target audience.
Exactly, you're not having a target audience. So people love to be in groups. People love to be in cliques. People love to stand by something. So for business people, many times they make a mistake of trying to brand for everybody, and that's the problem. They're doing that because they're afraid that what if I position myself for these people? It means like I'm not separating my business from a whole set of people. But what they fail to realize is that the more you focus on the people that you're trying to build, the more attractive you become to other people who are outside your circle, because they start to look and say, wow, I'm missing out on something in that circle, and then they come to join that circle so that they can buy your products. So that's one of the biggest problems, actually.
Wow, very, very well said. So speaking of branding and whatnot, what are some basic elements to consider? Elements to consider when branding, or necessary steps and stages involved in branding your business.
Okay, so necessary steps to branding your business. First, you have to start from identifying what your value system is. So as a brand or as a business, what do we want to represent, and who do we want to represent? Exactly. So that's where to start from every single time. What do we stand for? What do we believe? When you're able to define that, now that is a foundation for every other thing that you're going to do. So once you have done that, it's easy to say, okay, since this is who we are, it means that we are only attractive to these types of people. So you focus on those people.
Okay.
Right? So a sample persona. So these are the people, and it can go vice versa. So as a business, you can say, you know what, we want to sell to these people. And we ask, who are these people and what do they like? So you see, we will now say, okay, let's position ourselves to be the people that they like. So it can go other vice versa, but I prefer it to come from the business as a person to define who you are. Now, when you do that, when you have done that, you now move to the step of saying, what do we want to look like? What do we want to sound like? Because you are defining all of that based off of the people you are targeting. So as a business, for example, Gird as a brand, we said, we're a brand that wants to help the expression of good values. We have a definition of good. The definition of good is from the Bible. We believe that all good and perfect gifts come from God. So that's our definition of good, right? So when you do that, we say, okay, the people who are going to target need to be people who align with the value that good is defined by God, not by the world. So that puts us in a smaller subgroup of the world already. So we now say, okay, Now, what do we want to sound like to attract these people? Or what do we want to sound like to ensure that these people recognize us and we can resonate with each other? Okay. Now, those are essential things. Now, after that, we now want to say, okay, what do we want to look like? How you look is now going to be a function of what you are. And it can be different. So there can be another business that has the exact same idea as we have, but they want to look different. And that's fine. So once you determine how you want to look, that's now a mix between you as a business person or as a business group and the people you want to be and your personal preference. So as a business, you say, we want to be simple. We want to do this in a simple way. Somebody can say, we want to do the exact same thing in a complex way. Do you understand? So you have to choose that yourself. So as a brand, for Gird, for example, we chose that we want to do this in a simple way. We want to have a brand that is very simple, that is all about people, not so much about graphics. So if you notice, our designs are not extraordinary. They're very simple one-liners, but we have many colors. So, but all our designs are typically black or white, but we use many colors on t-shirts. So that's something that we say, let's use this to stand out and say we want to be separate from every other brand. Let's do this to stand out as ourselves. So we chose a font Bebas way. We gave it a spacing that is consistent every single time, such that every single time someone sees this, they know it's us. So we choose our color. Our colors are black and white. We choose our fonts. Our fonts is Bebas way. We choose all the other elements. So for Gird right now, we don't have many of those extra elements that maybe other brands have because we're just trying to be as simple as possible. But some other brands, it can be, and so you now even have to brand even to the point where you can determine what you want to sound like in your Instagram DMs. Do you want to sound excited? Do you want to sound cool and calm? Do you want to sound therapeutic? So for us, we want to sound excited. We want you to know that we're happy to have you. We want to know that we're excited, even though we're a simple brand. So those are the things that you determine what colors you want to represent you, determine what font size you want to represent, fonts you want to represent you, determine what elements you want to be associated with. Do you want to be associated with Christian elements? Do you want to be associated with Gothic elements? You want to be associated with modern, playful elements? So for us, we won't see a lot of colors because that's not how we brand ourselves. We want to brand ourselves minimalist colors, black and white. So those are the things that you want to do next when you determine who you are. You say, okay, this is what we want to look like. So typically, I'll suggest you talk to a graphic designer or a branding expert to say, as a brand, this is what we represent. Help us to express this in the best way possible. And then a graphic designer or a branding expert or a brand strategist, depending on the project. So yeah, that's what it is.
For answering that question, you need to take 1 or 2 points out of everything that you said today. So moving forward, we'll be speaking on the branding business owners. So there are some people that maybe they're just starting out and they might not really have everything figured out. But first, you've mentioned that they should know what they want to represent. That's what do you want people to perceive us as? So, they should have handled that. But meeting the graphic designer, the branding strategies, and every other thing, sometimes it can be very costly. So for a business owner that is just starting out, what are some branding tips or strategies that could help us to still be relevant in our business space, until you're able to get enough funds to fund that kind of branding that you want to have? That maybe it might be small, it might just be starting out, but you're still maintaining quality. You still know where you're headed. You're still offering people quality products and quality service, though you're not really an established brand, or you're still in the process of getting your business to a point where their branding will be top notch. What are some business branding tips and strategies that you want to share for small business or starters?
So simple, right? I'll usually say start as simple as possible, especially if you don't have a lot of money. Now, I'm a graphic designer. I design for a living. So it's surprising when people see Gird and they say they would think it was done by a non-designer because it doesn't look in Nigerian environment. But it comes from a deeper understanding of what is most essential. Okay, so as a small business, if you're just starting out, all you need to do is say, this is what I want to do, and I'm going to do this every single time, even if it's a line, if it's a color, visually, meaning you would say, what's the name of your business? Deborah's Cakes, right? So Deborah's Cakes. The way you write it the same way every single time. That's consistency, you know. So in your social media, when you're posting, if you want to do something simple, but then you say, okay, I'm going to post my pictures from this same angle with this same background every single time. That's branding.
Okay.
You know, or you can say, I'm going to put all my pictures in a particular type of frame every single time. So what you need to do is just attacking some things that are going to be consistent. If you say you want to use a particular color, you know, yellow is the color of this brand, let your yellow be yellow, not bright yellow today, dark yellow tomorrow. It's the same exact type of yellow every single time. You know, so if you're posting on Instagram, this is the type of content you want to post, and we'll post it every single time. You know, so as a small business, that's what you want to do. Determine, you don't even need, sometimes you don't need a designer. You can just start with a simple, maybe Canva. This is your logo, this is the color you want to use, this is the font you use every single time. If you have those three things, you can start with that. When your product sells, as long as you keep being consistent in how you use those three elements every single, that's the word, consistency. So you just need to be consistent, and you have a brand. Before you know it, people already see a post on Instagram and they know, oh, this is the best cake, this is how she posts, you know, oh, this is the wallpaper she uses, oh, she's the one that posts cakes surfing every single time, oh, she's the one that posts with a green rug every single time, you know. So those elements, as long as they are consistent, that's how you can brand yourself. It's just the consistency.
Thank you so much. So sometimes simple is just very cute, and it can also be fine most times. So you don't always have to go to we are doing one very complex or very large or, you know, complex design or something before we think that okay, this is it. Something, and like you said, being consistent to actually grow, you see that there's serious growth in what people are doing. Thank you so much for answering that question. So my next question is based on Gird's success story. Like, we love to know, you know, there's always power in storytelling. So I know that everyone listening wants to know how Gird Store started, the whole growth process, and then how you successfully moved your brand to one that it represents you wherever is found. So I think that's the best word to describe it. Yes. So
so in this short story, you'll see in this story you'll see the simplicity of everything I've been trying to explain in practice. Now, when Gird Store started, to be honest, we didn't even start out like we wanted to be a great brand. Let me tell you the short story. I was browsing on Instagram one of those days. I found t-shirts from a t-shirt company, Arawa Tees. They were selling t-shirts, and I was like, wow, these t-shirts are really nice. And then my wife wanted, so I bought for her. I bought 12, or I bought 3 for myself. Now, after I bought those, I was like, oh, these shirts are black. Maybe I should print something in it. I was like, maybe I should print something that is not too graphic, but it's simple. I mean, maybe a message that communicates what I really wanted to just hear, you know. And I was like, maybe something that if I wear another shirt on it, to still be beautiful and it still be too chaotic. So I said, you know what? I came up with 3 lines: spiritual edifice, word publisher, and water dispenser. Right? Those 3 captions. So I printed them out. Now I just started wearing them. I can't remember this detail if my wife wanted as well. But I remember those were the first 3 shirts we printed, so I was just wearing them. People would be like, wow, this is really nice. Where did you get it? And me, because I've done business many times, I already, when somebody says they like something, it means more people that person likes it. So immediately I said, oh yes, I'm selling. They're like, oh, how much? I give a price immediately. And they were like, oh, I want to buy. I was like, okay. What would you like me to money? But you want the exact thing. So that's how we started. And then when we go home, I realized, more people wanted
just like
it.
that.
Yes, just like that. More people wanted it. In fact, we traveled with some of our friends, so we took some pictures, and I was like, let me post this on Instagram since people like it. When we got home, my wife and I realized, people really like this, and we started talking about it. We're like, well, what should we call the name of this business? And she came up with the name Gird, because like just to build yourself with the word of God, that's where the name came from. So she came up with the name. She came up with more captions. So we opened an Instagram account, we opened different things. On Instagram, Twitter, we opened a mini website with MailChimp and started selling. When people say want to buy, send here. Yeah, so and the reason is I've done this many other times in many other businesses. So if you know me, yes. So because of my speed of execution, once I see something is working, I move immediately. So that's how I am. So I've done many other businesses like that before now. So it was easy for me to do this immediately. Now I did that, and then people started, just kept growing one by one, like that in church. And then people would just want to buy and like that. Now this went on for about September, October, November, December, 4 months. And in the 4th month, we had a big event in our church where, so I sent it to my pastors as well because I just wanted them to have one. So, people saw their pastors wearing and like, oh, this is nice. They also wanted to buy. And then my lead pastor, Apostle Manuel Aaron, we had a big event, it's called the Boot Camp, where he wore it. And people were already wearing it. So some people started noticing it already. Now, but when he wore it, everybody saw him wearing it and they were like, wow, what is this? I really want to get one. And so that was when, it even went up a notch. Before, they were probably getting like maybe 30 to 50 orders in a month. So after that event, we started getting about 100 to 150 orders in a month.
Really?
So I'm telling you. So that was when it happened. So at that point, we knew we had to create a proper website, MailChimp, and a Shopify website, do proper inventory, bought machines at that point because we knew the orders were coming and everything. So that's how everything started. Now, because of my background in branding, I knew enough not to bother trying to waste time to build a finding. I just wrote GII. That was when it started. Instagram account started posting. I would go with my wife, we would post in some places and put the pictures online. And that's just how it started. So I was like, you know what? We're going to make sure that every single thing we design is with the exact same font for uniformity, so that people can see that recognize the brand. And that's how we started.
Yes.
Exactly what you see till now is what it has been. Simple and short, honestly.
Wow.
And after that, we kept expanding, and then the vision started becoming bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah.
It's funny how the littlest things that maybe someone might not ever expect turn out to be a business. Will become a booming business, something that's really expanding and expanding. You're like, this is how, I did not expect it to move in this dimension or in this way. So it's just funny how little things really, really matter. So just from someone saying, I liked it though, and then you now decided to get going and then form it into a business that today is recognized. I think you want to call like some of the clothing brands. And I know that there is Lights and Cotton, which is there is Gird Store. At least these two major brands, major brands that have, like you said, uniformity. Like there's a consistent pattern and write-up. And the regular kind of write-ups, and is now kind of shaped in a way that is not anyhow kind of write-ups. So that's where the whole value stands, becomes in what you stand for, what you believe in, your own belief system. I've never seen Gird Store write something that is not relatable, like something that is not relating to the word of God or Christ or Christendom. You understand?
Exactly.
So that's where value comes in. Maybe now someone cannot just come to Gird Store today and say, I want to write maybe something funny, something that is just abstract, not really relating to what you guys do, because you've been able to establish what you stand for through your brand. Thank you so much, Mr. David Rotimi. So, but I would love to ask, during scaling up, were there some platforms or things that you did to generate more money, or did you just expand from the revenue you're getting from your business? Because maybe some business owners might want to hear, there was any platform, grant or anything that you did?
Okay, so actually what we did was when we saw that we're getting orders, we took a loan from some of our friends. We just gathered, so we spoke to some of our friends. Okay. And we told them, our orders are picking up. It makes sense for us to buy the machine instead of us printing what we used to print before. And so they saw that the business was actually moving and made sense to them. So they gave us a loan. I remember the first loan we took was 1 million. We bought the machine, but we paid back within a month. And then After then, to expand again, we took another set of loans from some of our friends because we knew we needed to move into a store instead of staying in our house. So we took another set of loans from our friends to expand it again. And for that one, we haven't finished paying everybody, but we've started paying people back. And obviously, there were some issues. There were some delays in some of them because of some issues we had in here. But because it's family and friend, it's easy to explain to them, and they know that you're not running away with it. And because we also can assure them that and it's still going to get paid out. Sometimes you start to pay little by little because they understand the situation. So yeah, that has been the situation for us. Yes.
Exactly. This whole one line, this whole question now, really, really speaks about a lot. Having supportive friends, and then you also being supportive to them, because no friend wants to entrust that kind of huge amount of money when you're not even trustworthy. You've not been a friend to them. So business owners, maybe most times they might feel that some people are not supporting them. They're not getting the kind of maybe help that they would have always wanted to get. But the question is, ask yourself, have you been supportive to other people's business? Are you like someone that people can entrust this huge amount of funds with? Are you someone that maybe you're just very, very careless and they feel like, if I should give this person my money, it has gone. Some things are just very, very funny and it goes down to our daily lives. If you borrow someone money or lend someone money today, as little as 500 naira, and just to return the money, it's almost like tug of war. How do you expect me maybe sometime when you're trying to start up a business and you're asking me for maybe 1 million naira? Why would I want to give you the money? If 500 naira or maybe 1,000, 2,000, just little amount of money took you a while, in fact, fight to even, that kind of thing. So it really goes down to our basic lives as human beings. Try to be people that are trustworthy, people that are not two-sided. Whatever you say is, what you're standing for. Your yes is your yes and your no is your no. Don't be someone that can easily be swayed and everything. So thank you so much for bringing up this point, because that's really passed a message to business owners. Be someone that people can trust day in, day out. Thank you so much. So we'll be almost wrapping the episode. But before we wrap up, I would just love to ask this it's not like a question, Sha, but in 60 seconds, like what word do you want to say to any business owner listening to this podcast? It might be very short, but that might be very insightful, inspiring. So 6 seconds, what would you love to say to any business owner listening to this episode on branding business?
Dear business owner, I know it's a lot. Many times you have to do too many things at the same time. It can seem like a lot, but just hang in there. Greater days are ahead. And for your business, when it comes to branding your business, just start with the basics and try to be as consistent as possible. And remember that the quality of your products, the quality of your service is far more important than any extra aesthetic that you want to add to your business. So ensure that you are working on those, ensure that those are the things that you're spending most of your energy on. It's possible for your business to not have a logo, and people will always remember that business. I know they know me, I can't remember their logo, but I really enjoy their service.
Because of the quality service that was rendered.
Exactly. And lastly, focus on your customers and focus on the people that you are working with. It's all about people. The money is coming from people. The people who are doing the work to your customers are people. Invested in them. Really show them that you care. Really show them that you love them. Really show them that you are out for their good and their benefits, and you can make all the difference for you as a business, for your staff members, for your staff, and for your customers as well.
Very well said. Thank you so much, Mr. David Rotimi, for gracing the cast with me. My regards to your family.